foreign policy at the global stage as the most powerful nation on the planet, who also is the consumption engine of the planet, seems like it's a great way to do stuff. Let's just buckle up and enjoy the ride, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, maybe he'll cut income tax in the process. Amazing.
These tariffs come first and foremost at immense costs for US consumers and businesses. But at the same time, they have a massive impact on the global economy, developing countries. Nonetheless, we stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0.
Famously, the European Union famously cares a lot about developing nations. Famously, they care about developing nations or the American consumer. It's just lip service, but it's so funny.
Tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests. And in addition, we will also protect ourselves against indirect effects through trade diversion. And for this purpose, we will set up an import surveillance task force. We will work with industry to make sure...
God, the Eurocucks love their bureaucracy, huh? They love their bureaucratic apparatus. God damn. Just be like, we're going to China. We're going to goddamn China. The Democratic Party is so Eurofied. It's kind of funny to think because, like, it's the exact same thing that they're doing, which is like, we're thinking about what kind of initiatives we could engage in for a more prosperous future. And we're going to do a task force.
We have the necessary evidence base for our policy measures, and we will stay in very close contact to minimize effects of our actions on each other. We're discussing the response to the United States, but also the...
Listen, guys, I love a good bureaucracy. They're just using bureaucracy as a hurdle to make fast decisions because they still, I think, are holding out to this notion that America will concede. That's the only reason why I'm saying, like, they love a good bureaucratic process.
The other two pillars of our strategy, the one is strengthening our single market, so getting rid of remaining barriers. And the other pillar is diversifying our trade relations. Specifically, further diversifying our trade relations is very critical for us because this broadens the market opportunities and is crucial for our companies. So we will focus like a laser beam on the 83% of global trade that is beyond the United States. Vast opportunities. And this is why we're deepening our relations with our trading partners. You know the deals that we've done with Mexico, Mercosur, and Switzerland. We're working on India, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and many others. By that, we want to be very clear.
Who are the others? I feel like there's another country that I feel like you're just not really mentioning. I mean, you've mentioned some of their biggest trade partners, but I wonder why European leaders won't just say that. Like, even if it's a threat, even if it's just a threat, why don't you just say you're going to do it? Just as a way to flex. Even if you have no ambition to do so.
Europe stands together for our businesses and with our businesses, for all Europeans in the European Union and beyond.
And just hours ago, the European Union announced that they are already coming to the table.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table.
So as suspected, this was always a grand negotiation. Come on, he wrote The Art of the Deal. After all, Brian, Eric Trump put out a tweet last week, and who knows President Trump better than family? I get he's not in the administration, but I think this is spot on. Eric Trump said this: I wouldn't want to be the last country that tries to negotiate a trade deal with Trump. The first to negotiate will win. The last will absolutely lose. I've seen this movie my entire life, and I think we are watching this movie play out.
Yeah, interesting, because Vietnam was the first. And seemingly the administration's response to that was, "F you. We're still going to do deficit. We're still going to do all the tariffs that we wanted to slap on." So that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Vietnam literally was the first country which was like, "Why you say f me for? Why you say me for? You already f me. You did a genocide on me, and we still love your ass. Why you say me for?" And then America was like, "Nah, nope." What's her ass? She kind of forbidden Xena stepmom hot. Oh my God, you're talking about former Trump's press secretary in the first term. Gross, chatter. Keep it in your friggin' pants. Some of y'all really do need Allah. Some of y'all really do need the Quran. Stop Googling.
I'm just curious to see, because the president was asked a number of times directly, are you looking to negotiate? Are you looking to get countries to deal with you? And he said, we want to talk to people. He was almost vague. And then I watched Lutnick, and I watched Bessent, and I watched, and then this morning you see Kevin Hassett. They don't just come out and say, we're looking for the best deal possible with as many countries as we can. And I don't know if that's President Trump saying, I'm going to wait on the sale. I'm going to let people think so the deal gets better and their initial offer gets better. Because so far, really promising things. Italy, for example, says, I want to de-escalate. I'd like to deal. Japan.
Oh, so funny. Amazing. Yeah. He's just probably holding out for something even better. Even though he has not really mentioned what that is, weirdly enough.
And they spoke this morning over the weekend, indications from the foreign minister. They want to do a deal and renegotiate. The EU is new to me. I didn't know that just came through. But the French also say it could cost us 0.5% of our GDP. So we want a deal. You had Cambodia and Vietnam. Now, you might think small countries. They do a lot of textile work for us. So I think this is huge if the president wants to do it, because I think a part of him says, if I do a deal too quick, I don't know if I'm going to bring manufacturing back. And if I do a deal too quick, I'm not going to get the tariff revenue, which I was hoping to use to de-emphasize the income tax. So I'm just watching this. I'm in the audience. I don't think anybody knows except the president what he's doing next.
Wow, this sure seems like a sustainable and reliable way to do foreign policy at the global stage as the most powerful nation on the planet, who also is the consumption engine of the planet. Seems like it's a great way to do stuff. Let's just buckle up and enjoy the ride, everybody. Yeah, maybe he'll cut income tax in the process. Amazing. When will the winning stop? When will the winning stop? Is too much winning.
Stock market soaring post-election. It reached an all-time high today, 82,000. Optimism everywhere. Just ignore the sky is falling reports in the regime press. Tune out the breathless reporting about market gyrations.
I'm excited about the economy. Look at the stock market. Our rocket ship is getting ready to take off in our economy with President Trump. We were probably overbloated with the stock market here for a while. We went up quite a bit.
You guys want to start with good news? The market's up 25% since you won. You tweeted this out that nobody in the media brings it up, so I said, you know what, I'm going to bring it up tonight.
Forget the stock market for a second here, and I have said on this program for years, it's never been my indicator in terms of the health of the economy.
The market always... Dude, everyone became a radical socialist, dude. Everyone became like, at the very least, like a progressive sock dem, you know what I mean, overnight.
Knows. So the market already started to kind of have this sort of rally, this sort of Trump rally. It's an energy, it's an electricity. We have to be very, very careful about all of this, and the notion that we have to react as Americans based on the market.
This is why you're saying, wait, what? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Scoop. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent flew down to Florida Sunday to urge Trump to focus his tariff messaging on winning trade deals. That's exactly the shift we saw from the president today. On the conflict with between Bessent announcing negotiations with Japan around the time Navarro's no negotiations op-ed published, a White House official told me Navarro wrote the op-ed with the best intentions, and it was written at a time when that was the message. Bessent's view was the markets will keep melting unless you shift, said a person familiar with the meeting between Bessent and Trump. You're not going to abandon the policy, but you have to talk about negotiating and what the end game is. I can't believe that they just did not come out. I can't believe that they didn't have this already. Oh my God. In spectacular fashion, once again, the incompetent admin is still being incompetent. The incompetent admin is public feud over world-changing, global collapse, imminent ass trade policy. What the fuck? So it's not wrong for me to assume that these guys are also stupid and incompetent, because I normally don't like doing the, oh, they're just dumb and that's why they're doing this type of analysis, because I feel like it's silly. But I do think that they're dumb and incompetent, and that's why they're moving in the ways they're moving. Very annoying. Yeah. Admitting to lying to calm the markets with no serious intention to follow through. No, I think it's not a lie to calm the markets. Like, I think that is the ultimate goal to a certain degree. The ultimate goal is to force these countries to like purchase more American products that are made in the United States of America, and to get these foreign manufacturing jobs to come back to the United States of America as well. They dumb is shallow analysis. I know, but this is part of the problem. Ironically enough, them being dumb plays a formative role in how things are unfolding. Ay, ay, ay.
What the law says. Okay, what else?
Can you say, did you agree to lowering tariffs for any of the countries that you spoke to today? So
what you understand, Jennifer, you have to understand this. We have massive surplus countries that we're dealing with. We have massive deficits. We've got to straighten that out, because you can't continue to be that way. It's been that way for years now, and it can't go on any longer. And we're the piggy bank. We have all the advantages. Forget markets for a second. We have all the advantages. We'll get it straightened out. We're going to become a wealthy nation again. Wealthy like never before. And we're not going to let other nations that have been ripping us off, whether it's China or the European Union, with all of the European nations that have just made, it's been like a feast. Look, the European Union was formed for one reason. You know what that was? To rip off the United States. So put that in your bonnet. I hope you had a good flight. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Should be.
Is there a Trump put though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I mean, I think it's I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something, and we have such a horrible. We have been treated so badly by other countries, because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs, they moved it to Mexico, they moved it to Canada, they moved a lot of it to China, and it's not sustainable. We're not going to do it. Now we have hundreds of billions of dollars is pouring into our country on a monthly basis. It's pouring, it's already started because they put tariffs on. And eventually it's going to straighten out, and our country will be solid and strong again.
Elon Musk has said he hopes for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe. Is that a place you'd like to also get to?
Well, the problem is that Europe has made a fortune with us. You know, Europe also has had a tremendous surplus with the United States. Europe has treated us, it's a little smaller, but they've treated us very, very badly. China has, but Europe has also. Europe has been very, very bad to us. Europe has taken our leaders for a ride. They don't take our cars. They don't take our food products. They don't take anything. And we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. You know, we take their millions of cars. They take no cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. Europe's treated us very badly. We put a big tariff on Europe. They are coming to the table. They want to talk. But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis. Number one for present, but also for past. Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Sir, have you
from China
on the idea of crashing the markets on purpose? There's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off. Can you talk about that?
No, that's not so. But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk? And as you know, because of the
This racist Turk keeps attacking Comrade Trump, who is building the Chinese century. A xenophobe like you should visit Taiwan instead. They love your kind. This is how you know Top G is not a real Chinese person, okay? Because he keeps referring to Chinese Taipei as Taiwan. And that's how you know he's a fucking LARPer, dude. That's how you know he's a fake Iowan white Maoist and not a real Chinese individual using a VPN to watch me. I, on the other hand, am real white Chinese. I, on the other hand, have never been to Idaho. To be fair, Xi loves Iowa. And in an effort to better understand Xi Jinping, I must visit Iowa. Not Idaho, though, just Iowa. Much like the glorious leader did as well.
Tariffs, we have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before. Biden had nothing coming in. This was a dead country with Biden. He didn't know what he was doing, and that's now been proven at least.
This morning,
Wait, let's watch. My Republican mom answers where the stock market's crashing.
Stock market, mother.
It's plummeting.
Why?
Because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
How?
Because they've got our country in shit shape. And now Donald Trump.
What do you think about the stock market, mother?
It's plummeting.
Why?
Yeah. Donald Pump. He's gonna pump the stock market after he pumps me. Okay, I wish he would pump me. My dead Brussy is quivering thinking about Donald Pump. Thinking about Donald's pump. Now, that's the man right there. Unlike your deadbeat dad who left us right in the Debussy. White House aide Stephen Moran outlines 5 potential responses foreign nations can undertake in response to the problems he says are caused by the U.S. dollar dominance. 1, foreign countries can accept tariffs without retaliation, giving U.S. revenue. 2, they can stop unfair/harmful trading practices and buying more from the U.S. That's the one that I keep. That's the one I keep repeating. 3, boost defense spending and procurement from the U.S. 4, invest and install factories in the U.S. And 5, they can write checks to the U.S. Treasury. Incredible. Ron, the president is famous for his ability to create deals nobody else thinks is possible. On Mar-a-Lago Accord paper he wrote, "It's not important. It does not reflect administration policy." Oh, my mom is watching, bro. I know. As actually a lot of people's moms watch me, which is crazy. Anytime I go outside in the wild and I see a HasanAbi head with their parents and they're like, "Oh, we watch you together," I forget all the heinous things I say on a regular basis. I feel bad. What a sales pitch for international investors. You have no choice but to give us money. Give up now. I mean, yeah, that's what America's doing.
President Trump says his tariffs are working and he is not backing down. But hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman, who endorsed Donald Trump for...
But Netanyahu offered ending the trade barriers and Trump said no relief. Because, as we saw in the 5-point plan, it's not about ending trade barriers. It's about giving America money. Money, 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 money. It's about buying American. They want these countries to fix the trade deficit in a way where there's some kind of trade parity, where they buy more American products. And we are threatening them to do so, even if they have no use for the American products, even if they don't have the money to purchase these American products. We're basically putting a gun to their heads and a gun to ours, ironically, in the same process. It's no different than saying, like, no, this is, I have the button right here. I will slap it. I will slap the nuke the planet button right now. Do you plan to reduce tariffs your country put on Israeli goods 70%? We're not. We're talking about a whole new trade. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't forget, we help Israel a lot. What is this? Who is this person? It's kind of funny that Donald Trump is talking about Israel in this way, but like, Israel is the one fucking country that actually does take so much from America and gives very little in return. Like the way he talks about China, the way he talks about all these other fucking countries is so ironic. Like he thinks every country but Israel is doing Israel shit. And the one country that is Israel doing Israel shit, he loves and will give unlimited funds to. It's so funny. He's just like, all these countries, they're stealing from us. They're taking so many billions. They're taking so many billions. It's like, dude, Israel, what are you talking about? You're saying that sitting next to the #1 welfare queen of all time. It's hilarious, too, because, like, with all of those fucking subsidies that they get from us, they get to have a robust healthcare system. They have socialized medicine. They have state-owned land, which they use to obviously enforce their colonial project and their colonialist desires. But ultimately, like, they have a higher degree of socialization than we do. It's so fucking annoying. And then the dudes that grow up there come here, go to our colleges, and yell at our citizens, yell at our fucking students and say, hey, I'm going to harass you. And also, I'm going to harass you so fucking hard. I'm going to brutalize you. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to try to get you fired from your fucking job. Like, what are we doing? Everything that Donald Trump demonstrates in terms of resentment for foreign countries, Israel does a million times over. And then Israel sends their worst exports, like Canada, to the United States of America. Like fucking Shai Davide. None of the cool guys come here. Many of them already get exiled from Israel once they become cool anyway. But they go to like fucking Europe instead. Wrong, they sent us Natalie Portman. Okay, fair. Natalie Portman is one significant W. But for every Natalie Portman, there's like a Gal Gadot, you know what I mean? So there's a deficit. There's a trade deficit there as well. It evens itself out. Yeah, you got Natalie Portman, but then we also have Gal Gadot. Natalie Portman is a super bitch? No, she's not. Shut up. Yeah. Yeah, Natalie Portman is Israeli. And yeah, the reason why you don't know that Natalie Portman is Israeli is, and perhaps this is going to come as no surprise to you, is because she's not a fucking Zionist. Or even if she was, she's not very outspoken. And I know that she has like outwardly criticized Israel on numerous occasions. So that's the reason why you're like, what? Natalie Portman is not Israeli? That's why I said the cool ones come usually not here, but yeah, she's either she's a liberal Zionist, but I don't think she is, or she's an anti-Zionist. But even if she was a liberal Zionist, like she never talks about it. And the only time I've ever heard her speak on stuff is in favor of Palestine and Palestinians. Yeah, she called Gaza a concentration camp in 2021. Yeah. Also, she's not even here. She lives in France. She cooked.
The problem with America.
What is this? We know you only say that because you like Leon the Professional. Leon the Professional is such a strange movie because I think it's such a good movie, but it's so perverted at the same time. And luckily for everyone that watched the movie, it was only salvaged by what's his face, Gerard Depardieu's initiative to basically combat against Luc Besson's, or Jean Reno, not Gerard Depardieu, sorry, Jean Reno's personal initiative to basically make his character be autistic deliberately, so that fucking Luc Besson could not make the script as pedophilic as he wanted to. This is real, by the way. I'm not even joking. Like, for those of you who don't know, Leon the Professional is an amazing movie. It really is. It truly is an amazing movie. It's a story about a hitman that takes a very young girl under his wing. The young girl is played by Natalie Portman. The director is, unfortunately, a fairly prolific director that has definitely fallen out of favor and doesn't make good movies anymore, but also happens to be a pedophile because he's, I mean, he's just straight, he's French, okay? Luc Besson. And from what I understand, he wanted to make the relationship between Jean Reno's character and Natalie Portman's character. Natalie Portman's like 14 or something, or even younger in the movie, a romantic one. And I remember reading, it was 12 years old, even younger. I remember reading something about how after reading the script, Jean Reno thought that was so insane to do that he basically portrayed the character as like a neurodivergent person, specifically to not offer any. Like, he looked at the script and he was like, this is gross. I'm going to literally make my character autistic so that it just doesn't look like he's doing this like pedophilic act. Gary Oldman's fucking incredible in that movie. One of his best roles, no questions about it. It's a great movie. That makes sense. Is he did The Fifth Element, an infantized girl taking care of an older man? Yeah. Also on the background, he quite literally dated what's her face, who was underage in the process of making that movie. Not Uma Thurman. What was her name? Mia Jovovich. Yeah. So, who he met when she was 15. He based it on his own groomed wife. Oh, Leon the Professional? Yeah. Yeah, he's just Frenchman activities. All right, let's move on. All right, let's get to Bill A. Pac-Man, Bill Smoke Crackman, and what he had to say about Donald Trump with the tariffs.
For the first time this election, disagrees.
The investor warning, the president has an opportunity to...
Also, here it is, by the way. Actress Natalie Portman is pulled out of a major awards ceremony in Israel, citing her distress of recent events in her country. Over the past 3 weeks, at least 30 Palestinians have been killed by Israel's military during peaceful demonstrations in the Gaza Strip. That was during the Great March of Return.
To call a 90-day timeout, negotiate, and resolve unfair asymmetric tariff deals. We're heading for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down.
Yeah, it goes on for pages, but you get the theme. Joining us now is from the White House, North Lawn, Director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hasan. Kevin, great to see you.
Good morning, guys.
You're great at explaining these things, but your response to an ally, Ken Ackman, saying that. Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, you know, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president. We've got the Prime Minister of Israel coming today. We've had a reach out overnight from Taiwan. And but I would urge everyone, especially Bill, to ease off the rhetoric a little bit. The fact is that say 10% baseline tariff is on what, 14% of GDP. That's about how much trade we have, how many imports. And so 86% of GDP is affected by the deregulation and the tax cuts and everything else. And even if you think, and I think a lot of us at the White House think that these economic responses are exaggerated by critics, even if you think that there will be some negative effect from the trade side, that's still a small share of GDP. And so the idea that it's going to be a nuclear winter or something like that is completely irresponsible rhetoric.
So obviously these are all things that President Trump ran an election on and won an election talking about, and he's been talking about it for a long time. And where it's not a surprise that the markets have tumbled in response to this. But is there a point at which President Trump looks at the markets and says, oh, my gosh, we're at 35,000 on the Dow. This is too painful?
The president has made it clear that this policy, he believes, will help American workers. And there's a reason why he believes that, because policies like this...
Because he's fucking stupid. Because he's just a stupid guy. In the process, as far as I know, if this is like a TikTok story or not, and I haven't checked, so I'm asking you guys. China has made a statement about IP as well. Let's look it up real quick. China IP release. There was an update to the Chinese IP law. United States Trade Representative 2025 National Trade Estimates reports on foreign trade barriers. China needs to increase damages and criminal penalties for IP infringement. That was a statement from ChinaLawUpdate.com. That's not what I'm looking for. Hold on. This is also from a month prior. No, not Israel, Palestine, or Beijing review. Intellectual property protection faces new challenges in the AI era. No, that's not what I was looking for either. I'm a company commander in the army of Ukraine. Let's talk. Wait, really? The fuck? For real? If you're actually serious, I will fucking guest star you right now. Bro's checking the user card, but it's their first message. Yeah. Yeah, we already talked about the Chinese rare earth metals ban. China unveils rule to counter discriminatory measures in international IP disputes. The regulation aimed at striking back against external containment and suppression appears to target the US and EU without naming them. Unveiled a new weapon that it says is to fight discrimination against citizens or organizations in international intellectual property disputes. Ryan Ruth in the chat. I mean, it could be. Ukraine is a very online nation. I can believe this. This is not the same as someone saying they're fucking Donald Trump, Jack. Calm down. I am on duty now. Let's do it sometime. Okay, you need to put your phone number for Twitch, though, in order for me to be able to guest star you. I'm a Nigerian prince, bro. Guys, the likelihood of that person being an actual commander of I don't know, like, or being in the Ukrainian army at least is significantly higher than it being a scam, like a Nigerian prince. I'm the king of Belgium. Let's talk, bro. It could be bait. I mean, it maybe is, but I talk to someone who's in the Ukrainian forces to see what the fuck is going on the ground and to see what their attitude is overall about Trump and about the future of the conflict.
This, in his last term, did help American workers. After really 2 decades of no real wage growth in the U.S., we got more than $6,000 per family after we had tariffs and tax cuts and deregulation. And so he's doubling down on something that he knows works. And he's going to continue to do that, but he is also going to listen to our trading partners. And if they come to us with really great deals that advantage American manufacturing and American farmers, I'm sure he'll listen. But in the end, it's President Trump that's going to decide when a deal is good enough. And I think it's interesting that so many countries are lining up. The final thing I'd like to say is that there's so many people that keep saying, oh, it's the American consumer that's going to bear this tariff, is going to make inflation go up and so on. But if you think about it, President Trump's view is it's these countries that are sending inelastic supply to the country, and so they're going to bear the brunt of the tariffs. And if that were false, then if they didn't bear the brunt.
If you're actually you, follow me on Instagram right now. If you are who you say you are, chatter, I got your Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. No, I don't think he's lying, but he hasn't followed me on Instagram. Andy 2K, how did you find me? God, I feel like he's gonna be like, I hate you. You hate Ukraine. I heard you're a Vladdy Poof defender. You love Adolf Putler. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I'm gonna dunk on you. He's just a crypto bro. I mean, he is. This is legit. This looks legit. Did he follow you? No, he has not followed me. He likes anime though. I'm looking at his stories. Oh my God, dude. Blue Lock season 2 was ass though. King. So fucking ass. Couldn't even finish it. A few secs. I have. Apparently he followed you. Check again. Oh, he did. Wait, he followed me and then unfollowed me? What the fuck? Oh no, he did. I don't know why it's not showing up, but you did. It says follow back and then it says follow. Bro, season 1 was impossible to get through. No, season 1 of Blue Lock was great. Season 2 was ass. Season 2, like the first half of season 2 is just ass. I could not fucking watch it. Oh yeah, we got the deportation stuff that we're gonna talk about, obviously, because that's a major story as well. You watch Solo Leveling? Hell yeah, I do. Heck yeah, I do. And Megaphonics, I can't confirm whether or not someone followed me by looking at my notifications because I get a fuck ton literally every minute, so it's impossible for me. The anime story says, I like that in this war you can be in a fight, then go back to base and connect to Starlink and talk to your friends about your favorite anime. I watched a little bit of Freyren. I will get back into Freyren. Don't worry. I scaled back. Okay, let's skip this. Design to Cheetahs. I already talked about Navarro. I talked about all of that. Let's see what John's saying.
I think you got to give the president the latitude, the runway to do what it is he was elected to do, and that is get this economy going again and get our trade properly balanced with other countries. So I think most of the American people understand the necessity of that. Listen, we had a $1.2 trillion trade deficit in 2020. I don't think that's fair. I think the American people understand that, and I think this president is engaging in trying to fix that. So we're going to get.
It's so funny that the Republicans that created this process, or played a very big role in the creation of this process, alongside the Democrats that also played a role in this process, are now turning around and making it seem like how could this have happened? I can't believe the global trade that we designed to create these outcomes is harming us in the long run. And it's not even harming us in the way that it like harms capital or anything. It's not actually harming us in a way that we care about, because clearly if we cared about the ways in which it harms us, the Republicans alongside the Democrats would have taken the initiative to build manufacturing in this country before engaging in this kind of trade protectionist action. What the fuck?
House committees the next couple of days. What would be your question to Greer about these tariffs?
The Trump tariffs, which are a tax on the American people, are so reckless, so unstrategic, so lacking in any sophistication, that the only conclusion that one can draw is that Donald Trump and Republicans are intentionally tanking the economy. Is it because, as Donald Trump has indicated, that during tough economic times, the rich get richer and it's a buying opportunity? Those are Trump's words. Can you confirm?
But what's your question?
He killed it.
So, folks, all of this has America's top executives really on edge. That is not our opinion. That is according to a new CNBC CEO Council survey that is out right now. Of the CEOs that we surveyed, about 1/3 say it's too early to tell whether tariffs will ultimately be a negative or a positive for their business. Of course, a lot of that's going to have to do with what they do. When asked how long it might take to bring manufacturing back to the United States, most said about 3 years or more. The hard reality, a majority of CEOs that we surveyed expect a recession before the end of the year, with about half saying that a recession, if we get one, would be a little bit moderate. Our CEOs are split on if they are expecting to need job cuts from the tariff impact, with more than 1/3 saying, yeah, we will need to cut jobs, and about half saying no, or it's simply too early to know.
This is why I, on the one hand, laugh about like all these rich people having a hard time with their finances, or at least like experiencing a moment of crisis. But it's hard for me to celebrate these decisions because I see what is yet to come. I see what the broader implications on the working class will look like in the very near term.
When asked how much prices will go up, the top answers were they weren't sure, up to about 20%. Of course, some might argue tariffs ultimately might be deflationary. They might bring prices down because demand would go with it. We obviously cannot identify the CEOs that we surveyed, but here are some of their quotes. All right, CEOs we surveyed said this. One said it's going to be a wild ride. Another worried about stagflation. One quote called this, quote, disproportionately stupid and illogical. Their words, not ours. Another warned of a so-called Trump recession.
There's a ton of news in the auto.
Some automakers haul shipments to the U.S. for April while they assess tariffs response. I deflated my body by losing a leg. Yeah.
Supply chain. Jaguar Land Rover responding to tariffs. Juliana Tatelbaum joins us with more from London. Morning, Juliana.
Good morning, guys. That's right. Luxury car maker Jaguar Land Rover over the weekend that they're going to be halting shipments of their cars to the United States for the month of April. The company says this is a short-term action while they assess their medium and long-term plans. JLR, which is owned by Tata Motors, is highly exposed to the U.S. market. It generates 1/4 of its sales in the U.S. but has no manufacturing capabilities here. So JLR is poised to be impacted very severely by these new tariffs. And we're seeing similar lines of thinking from other automakers in Europe as they try to assess the impact here. Just this afternoon,
She can't even say it right. That's how fucked up she is.
we heard that Volkswagen's Audi is holding back cars that arrived in the U.S. ports after April 2nd, again, while they assess what to do medium long term.
Juliana, thank you. That's a big piece of the ongoing list, Jim, of collateral damage. We mentioned Nintendo on Friday, the Klarna IPO, Land Rover, Volkswagen, Audi today.
Well, you're describing a situation where everything's frozen, and I think that that's right. And I think one of the reasons that we're struggling so.
In 2023, roughly 62% of all American vehicle sales were assembled in the U.S. Source one. It's a made-up issue. No, he's talking about other countries not buying our vehicles. That's what he's talking about. Yeah, the number one. The most popular vehicle in the United States of America in the domestic market is still a Ford F-150, with one exception this past year when RAV4 actually outflanked Ford F-150. That's it. Maybe that's the reason why he's pissed. But overall, it is certainly not about we're buying too many like foreign cars or anything. It is about other countries not buying enough of our cars. It would be akin to getting mad at like a trade deficit specifically with Japan on the issue of consoles. Why are they not buying Xbox 360s, but we're buying PlayStation 3s? We are not letting you enter the American market without paying a significant cost because we want you to buy Xbox 360s. I just figured out a fucking perfect way to explain it to gamers. Oh my God. That's it. PS3 old ass? No, I'm using that because like, what is the new fucking Xbox? You know what I mean? At a time when there was competition and there was a domestic manufacturer of like a entertainment console, like a video game console. It's the same fucking shit.
Is that we're on the eve of earnings season, and we have to expect that almost all guidance is pulled.
When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. Vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your net worth will skyrocket. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down.
President Trump made a lot of promises on the campaign trail, but he didn't talk to voters or warn them that their 401ks would take a nosedive.
It's also ironic because I don't even think the Xboxes are not even made in America. So that fucking analogy doesn't even work. Imagine if Xboxes were made in America. Are they even assembled in America? Are Xboxes assembled in America? Never mind. Oh my God. I can't even use. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's no analog. There's nothing because we don't do anything here. We don't do anything here. What are we protecting? What manufacturing are we protecting? Does everyone have to eat American meat? Is that what it is? American poultry only. American meat only. American Ford F-150s only. That's it. There's nothing else. Or weapons, ironically enough. And that's what Donald Trump wants as well. He keeps saying, you got to buy more of our weapons.
Even that tariffs would make almost everything more expensive. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is joining us now. Hello, Harry. You're going to run the numbers for us. I am very curious to see what you found out about all of this. So let's start first with how unique the drop in the market is under Trump, because I have heard from some Republicans that say this is pretty normal stuff.
Yeah, if this is pretty normal stuff, I'd like to know what not normal stuff is. If this is a boom, I'd like to know what a bust is. I mean, my goodness gracious, we'll talk about it. I mean, talk about the S&P 500. It's dropped 15% under Donald Trump's presidency. The S&P 500.
The other irony, of course, is that like America can't even make its weapons without Chinese manufacturing. So that's like every part of the story is so stupid because in order for America to increase its manufacturing output in the areas that we do manufacture shit, we still rely on China. None of this makes sense. Holy fuck.
It has been collecting data essentially since 1957. It's been an index. I went back and I looked for drops of 15% with a president who was inheriting a bull market. There's only one dude on your screen. It's Donald John Trump. He is the only one to see a drop of 15% this soon into his presidency in the S&P 500 after inheriting a bull market. In fact, there's only one other president who has seen a drop of 15% this early on in his presidency, and that was George W. Bush back in 2001. But of course, he was in fact inheriting the dot-com bubble bust. And so this is truly unique, where you come in with a bull market and then boom, right through the floor, Donald Trump, the S&P 500 dropping already 15%, Jessica.
And so there's the market, but then there's the chance of broader economic problems. And that chance is right. That possibility is rising, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. A chance of a recession, something none of us want to see. And what's the chance of a recession? I mean, J.P. Morgan, look at this, now up to 60%. It was 40% in early March. How about Goldman Sachs? It was 20% in early March. We're now up to 35%. Basically, at this point, you average all these different companies together who put forecasts out on the chance of a recession. It's about 50-50, way up from where we were at the beginning of this year. Poly market, where you can trade, was, I think, a 30% chance at the beginning of the year. Now it's 60%. No bueno. What stays in the stock market, what happens in the stock market may not stay in the stock market, Jessica.
And Americans do seem to be having an issue with how Trump now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these numbers, you wouldn't be surprised to see Donald Trump's net approval rating. Compare it now to where it was at this point in the first term. In the first term, he was above water at +5 points. Where is he now? He's way underwater. He is swimming with the fishes. Look at this. He is the worst ever for a president at this point in a term on
Holy Toledo.
record at minus 12 points. I just never thought I would see the day because, as we were hinting at the beginning, Trump promised an economic boom. Voters bought into it, but so far they ain't liking what they're seeing.
Jimmy Carter's probably the best example of a president getting taken down by the economy recently. How long did it take 39th president to go into negative?
Whose base doesn't give a shit? They don't have stocks. It don't matter. The wealthy in this country have a fairly significant amount of control over the media. They will make you care. That's number one. Even if you don't have stocks right now, even though many people do have stocks, they have retirement accounts. And also, this is not just about stocks. They're not talking about stocks. They're talking about what is about to happen to the American economy. Notice how this entire conversation is not about stonks, but instead about JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs' assessment on whether or not a recession can occur. JP Morgan believes that the most dire impact will be felt by Q2 and into Q3, where that is when they will have that is when America will experience a recession. It's not like, oh my God, my stock portfolio is tanking. My stocks are not performing because of the market instabilities. No, the real problem is not the stonks. The real problem is not for the retail and institutional traders. That's just short-term issues. The real problem is what comes next.
Negative territory on the economy.
Yeah, always when you think of economic bust, you think of Jimmy Carter, the recession that occurred under him, right? How long did it take him to get a negative net approval rating on the economy? It took him 11 months. It took him all the way until December 77, January of 78. Donald Trump already has a net negative approval rating only 2 months. 2 months in to this term, he is the fastest on record to go negative. And comparing to Carter, I mean, you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that 2 is a lower number than 11. Carter took a while. Trump, right on in. The voters have turned right against him.
I also want to talk about the protests that we saw across the country yesterday. Those protests were protesting the Trump administration. They generated a lot of interest online. What did you find?
Yeah, so, you know, when we entered the Trump presidency the second time around, there really wasn't that resistance, right? Not what we saw in January of 2017. Well, now we're starting to see what we saw in January of 2017. Look at this, Jessica. This is Google searches for protests. Get this, up 1,200% versus a year ago. It was the highest level on Saturday, and I went back into the record books. You know I like to do that, Jessica Dean. And what did we see? We see that the number of folks who are searching for protests, interested in going out in those protests, is finally matching what we saw in January of 2017, if not exceeding it. If the Democratic resistance seemed to be nowhere at the start of this Trump presidency, with approval ratings for Democrats down at their lowest level ever, all of a sudden Donald Trump has supercharged it, and the protests and the resistance is on.
All right, Harry.
The funniest part about it is that those protests are not even because of the tariffs.